Japan. From ancient castles to towering peaks to the far north. These are just some of the amazing locations in the country we've had the privilege of visiting. Now we set our sights on the legendary Kumano Kodo, a series of pilgrimage routes filled with sacred sites located in the Kii Peninsula of Japan. In total, we would be hiking over 40 miles, along the way experiencing the history of the region dating back over 1,000 years. As is often the case though, trails this incredible are just as difficult.
The first part of our long Kumano Kodo adventure began here at the Haneda airport.
Okay, we are on the Tokyo monorail now. This is a straight shot because we're on the express from the airport all the way to Hamamatsu-cho. We're going to transfer at Hamamatsu-cho and then take another line to Tokyo Station, and that's where we'll get on the bullet train.
In Japan, just getting to the wilderness to hike is a long process, but one made easy thanks to Japan's extensive public transit system.
After a quick transfer, we made it to Tokyo Station.
From Tokyo Station, we would hop onto the Tokaido Shinkansen bullet train and make our way to Osaka.
Okay, that took a little while, but we are on track 15. We have almost an hour to kill.
Let's go find some place to eat.
And so, we bought some ekibe, or train station lunch boxes, and made our way up to our platform. So I remember in Japanese class, they would talk about different Japanese cultural things, and one of the things is to ride the bullet train and get a station lunchbox.
Got some tempura shrimp. Oh, that's good. A lot better than I expected. Because like the rice is still soft and stuff. I thought it was gonna be like cold and hard. It's actually really good.
Too.
Yeah.
It roughly came out to $7.50 US for a nice lunchbox.
Wow. Yeah, this is good stuff.
There were all sorts of different treats and souvenirs you could buy at this train station. Eventually, our train arrived at the station. But we needed to wait for the cleaning crew to finish, so I got a little beverage in the meantime.
Ume, it's plum.
Plum. It says negative 196 degrees, and it just seemed to speak to me. So apparently, in Japan, there's no open container laws, so you can just drink alcohol on the streets. And it just tastes like grape juice.
Yeah, it's like a plum soda with a slight alcohol flavor.
Thomas was so impressed that he decided to get a second drink and dual wield it.
And just in time, our train was ready to be boarded. We made some idle conversation while we waited for it to depart.
Why don't we have underwater bullet trains?
This actually is way nicer than flying. Like, flying is a terrible experience.
Imagine if planes had this much legroom.
Now, our train would travel at a top speed of 200 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour, taking us to Osaka. From there, we would catch a second train that would take us to a smaller town called Tanabe.
Robby and I dug into our bento boxes during the ride.
For a lunchbox? That's not bad. What is yours?
Chicken and mackerel. I wanted to go kind of light for a big hike because I don't want to take too many risks.
The bullet train continued taking us out of Tokyo at a truly impressive speed. We just passed another bullet train, and that was kind of frightening.
Other bullet trains flying by in the other direction were unnerving, but the ride was quiet and comfortable enough to take a nap.
As we admired the unique suburban landscapes of Japan, we were lucky enough to get a clear view of Mount Fuji. During the summer months, it spends most of the day covered in clouds. How tall is Mount Fuji?
Maybe 12,500 feet. You can compare it to like Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is 14,000 feet. But
It has a similar presence to Mount Rainier when you're driving by and you just see this really like iconic looking mountain in the distance. Do you still have aspirations to climb it?
you know, maybe another time, but it's just been so hot and humid here that it'll probably be dry up on the mountain though. I don't know. I still want to, but it's just not. It's so busy. I don't know. I don't feel that urge to.
Yeah, Andrew's awake.
We still had a ways to go, but now that we were surrounded by mountains and greenery, it felt like our adventure was truly beginning.
As our train ride continued, we were treated with all sorts of stunning Japanese scenery.
Our old friend Daryl, who was in our previous set of videos in Japan, had helped us plan out this entire hike. But due to a series of unfortunate circumstances, he wasn't able to join us.
Daryl's planning had been invaluable, but since this was an unfamiliar country and an unfamiliar trail, we took some extra time on the train to look over our plans.
So I really wish that Daryl could be here, not just because it'd be great to have him here, but he also knows this all already, so we wouldn't have to do anything.
We are furiously rubbing all four of our brain cells together just to get something going here.
The landscape had now transitioned back to a more urban one as we approached another major city.
So this is Nagoya. This is actually where I studied for 2 semesters.
Oh, really?
When I lived here, yeah.
We're already in Nagoya.
Mm-hmm. We have about another hour or 2 on this train, and then we switch at Shin Osaka.
We arrived at Shin Osaka Station, where we would have to transfer, and the summer heat hit us all at once.
Whoa!
Sweltering.
It's 96 right now.
Next stop, we got 15 minutes.
We need to ride the Kuroshio 19, probably to the JR lines that way. It's this one right here, yeah.
6C, 5C.
Okay.
We had made it to the next train, which provided some much-needed relief from the intense heat.
It had been a long journey so far, and we still had a ways to go before our final destination of Tanabe.
All right, so we've been traveling for just under 4 hours now. We've got about a little less than 2 hours. When we get there, we gotta do some preparations for tomorrow, but I think I'm feeling pretty good about the hike. How about you? Oh, he wasn't listening. He feels good about the hike too.
After another quick stop, the train continued on. We again passed through a variety of landscapes. Since it would be my first time in a rural part of Japan, I decided to ask Robby about it.
What are 3 things I need to know about Japanese countryside? Less people speak English? I don't know. What else?
I don't know, I'm asking you. You've been here before.
The striking scenery around us was now gilded in the golden glow of the low evening sun. Amber clouds hovered above the distant ocean waters.
As we passed through more small towns, the sun sank behind the surrounding hills. Eventually, we paused in a small town called Gobo, and it seemed we were the only ones left on the train.
Anyone else here? There's a few people. Don't get off my train. Stations are deserted, and the train is deathly quiet.
What'd you say?
We got 30 more minutes, and then we're there.
We got one last glimpse of a brilliant sunset as we rode through an area with lower-lying hills near the coast.
The train rolled right along the water's edge, giving us a brilliant view of the Pacific Ocean as we neared our final stop.
Tanabe, that's our stop.
Yeah, right on time. 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Packing my stuff. How was that ride?
It was nice, but man, this is such a journey we're on.
We haven't even gotten to the trailhead yet.
We got off the train and were met with a summer evening sky.
Nothing matches the magic of train stations at night. Oh, I love it so much.
From there, we exited the station and saw a preview of our hike on the way out.
That's our trail right there.
Now, we made our way to the inn we were staying at for the night, keeping an eye out for places to eat on the way there.
Everything is closing, so we should probably make sure that we can actually get a restaurant before everything closes, because look at all these shutters. It's only 6:40.
It's like dinner time.
All right, I gotta go home.
We continued towards the inn, stopping for the occasional distraction.
We now entered a more residential area of town, which was full of houses and apartment buildings.
It was a quiet evening, a clear contrast from the bustling city of Tokyo. Eventually, we neared the inn where we would be staying tonight.
So we are staying at the Tsukasa house, and as they say in Japan, Tsukasa is Mikasa.
Our host showed us around and gave us a helpful overview of the hike ahead of us.
Also, there's a number sign like this
Cool,
every 500 meters.
Yep. Yeah, awesome.
Next, it was time to look for dinner.
So we are the only ones staying at this hostel tonight. So that's fun. Are you feeling this atmosphere right now?
Feeling this heat right now. I have to think about the fact that I'm going to feel like this for the next 72 hours.
Whoa. I've had this experience a couple of times now where you get to these cities after dark and they're just like empty.
It literally feels like a movie set.
Yeah, it's just like
Samurai
everybody is
movie set.
gone.
We continued our search for food through the silent town and ended up walking through some strange places.
Okay, Thomas just took us down a random alley. He says there's restaurants down here.
Which one was it?
What is happening right now?
Oh, those are just the tiles squeaking together.
Where are we?
Look at this floor light.
Dude, what did we just walk through?
I don't know.
What is this magical place? We just came through there.
Dude, this feels like a fever dream.
The intense heat and humidity and the all-day traveling just makes this feel like the most unreal situation right now. Like, what is this room? Is this a real room?
These empty back alleys felt like an abandoned movie set, or a liminal space, but with a more appealing Japanese aesthetic.
So vastly different from anything I've ever experienced in the U.S.
Man, so interesting.
All right, so the restaurant that was recommended by the hotel was closed. There's another one open right here, though. There's also a bunch that we passed by. I think anything will do at this point. But
The restaurant was an izakaya, or Japanese tavern, and was filled with quaint rustic decor.
We were led upstairs into a small booth where we were given warm, moist towelettes.
It smells kind of good, actually.
But there was one hitch. The entire menu was in Japanese. We managed to get some drinks, but it would take more effort to order food.
If Daryl was here, he'd just be like, yo, we can get this one, 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 and we'd be done.
I need you, Daryl.
It adds in a hard mode right now, right? Yeah, because not every foreigner's going to have a friend out here that can translate.
How are those potatoes?
Oh, great.
So we did no research on this place, so we didn't know how much it would cost, but it looks like it's gonna be pretty expensive. So we're gonna eat like monks, not just walk like monks. Like, I had a little slice of potato and a half, and I'm like, okay, that's it for me tonight.
The entire thing was probably just a quarter of a potato.
Now, with my subpar reading ability and the help of technology, we did manage to order a variety of food.
Okay, these are fried shrimp balls. This is fried chicken. And then we've got tempura assortment. Wow. That's really good.
Shrimp flavor is super aromatic.
So we've got some grilled mackerel. It's like, let's try one of these. It's salty and it has this like subtle sweetness. Super good.
I just love mackerel. It's got a sweetness to it.
Should I eat the ginkgo leaf or the Japanese maple leaf?
Are they edible?
This one might be because I know people eat maple leaves sometimes, but I don't know about that. This is the best, saddest meal I've ever had. You drinking your sauce, Thomas?
No, it's...
All of the food was of utmost quality, but we ultimately left unsatisfied. We didn't have the budget required to fill up all 4 of our stomachs here. That food was delicious, overpriced, way too small of portions.
Yeah, you hit it exactly right. That is the best, saddest meal I've ever had.
Now, it was back through the town to buy more food and some snacks for tomorrow's hike.
We found our way back to the train station's convenience store and explored around a bit.
And we got another preview of the hike ahead.
That looks manageable.
I think I will find enlightenment through this suffering. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Holy.
We made our way back to the inn, where the rooms provided relief from the heat.
The AC is working.
Wow, it's nice in here. Since that was definitely not enough, I got a little fried rice with pork and egg. Would you like any?
I am actually okay.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so Thomas and Andrew are staying in the Sakura room. Me and Bryan are in Kiku. Let's find out what they're doing. Thomas, what are you doing?
I'm self-sustained. I'm in my hypobaric chamber right here. Is it hypobaric or hyperbaric?
Alright.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, it's 9:55 p.m. We're gonna get up at 5:15 a.m. and try to catch the 6:15 bus. I'm gonna try to get as good a night of sleep as possible because tomorrow will be the litmus test for the rest of the trail. It also might rain. But we'll sleep and hopefully have a good night. We'll see you in the AM.
The first step on our journey would begin with the 40-minute bus ride from Key Tanabe Station to the Takijirioji bus stop. We would then hike 13.3 kilometers or 8.26 miles to the town of Chikatsuyu, where we would stay the night. Next, we would travel another 24.5 kilometers or 15.2 miles to the town of Hongu and stay another night. The third day would involve another 16 kilometers or 10 miles to Koguchi. And finally, the fourth day we would travel 14.5 kilometers or 9 miles to the Kumano-Nachi Shrine before taking a bus to Katsuura for a long train ride back to Tokyo.
Looks like it's gonna rain at 1 or 2 p.m. With any luck, we'll be done with most of our hiking by then. The good news is it's only 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Then again, it's 5:30 in the morning.
We were all a bit nervous about the upcoming hike. The distance, the heat, the rain, and the uphills were all variables that can make things difficult for us.
But we were also excited to wander through the forests and mountains again, to experience the wild side of Japan that often gets overlooked in popular culture.
We left the inn and made our way back through the town of Tanabe.
It was the break of dawn, and the streets were nearly just as quiet as they were the night before.
In the distance, we could see the torii gates that mark the entrance to the Tokei Shrine.
Okay, thank you to Aki at Tsukasa House. Thank you for your hospitality and the nice beds and cool air conditioning. We've made it with 13 minutes to spare.
On the Kumano Kodo, we would continue to stay at similar inns each night. This meant we were on a bit of a time limit to get to each town while there were still meals being served. But on the plus side, we were able to go without most of our usual gear.
This is a good preview of what my backpack's going to feel like for the next 8 hours. We're not wearing our typical backpacks on this because we're not camping, which is good and bad.
Somehow the packs are still just as heavy as before.
At the station was a bus schedule that showed the time of the Hoshimon-Oji bus we would be catching this morning.
And nearby were a cartoon drawing and statue depiction of Musashibo Benkei, a warrior monk who lived in the 1100s.
We all stretched out and got ready for the hike ahead of us. Before long, the bus arrived and it was time to get on board.
Other hikers boarded the bus with us. We made our way to the back and settled in just as the bus started rolling out.
このバスは明日滝尻 Chikatsuyu-Oji.
Starting to feel real. A little bit. Okay, so every time something goes wrong, I'm going to say, man, I wish Daryl was here.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm not worried because I got Robby here. At least we got Robby here.
Mountains, meadows, and forests rolled by as our bus drove towards Takijirioji.
The bus ride was over quickly, and the fare had to be paid in cash, which we had taken out plenty of in preparation for the hike.
Got exact change. I'm ready for it.
After getting off the bus, we were greeted by the sight of tall mountains all around us.
These mountains are very intimidating.
They are. They're not gradual. They are very steep. Steeper than even the Rockies. Across the river was an information center. We made our way in that direction towards the start of the trail.
Near the information center was a store selling ice cream and snacks, and offering a very helpful service.
So, if we're finding that we're struggling, you can always do a luggage shuttle.
I mean, it's not the worst idea.
We would be taking the Nakahechi route of the Kumano Kodo, the main route that connects the 3 grand shrines of Kumano. Established over 1,000 years ago, these trails are filled with other small shrines of sacred importance in the Shinto and Buddhist philosophies.
Right at the start of the trail was the Takijirioji Shrine, the first of many to come. As a pilgrimage trail, the Kumano Kodo shares a connection with another famous trail in Spain called the Camino de Santiago.
But they got a little stamp card that you can stamp at each stop. And this is Takijirioji.
After having not slept well the previous night, I was feeling especially nervous about the hike, but a friendly spirit came to give us a good omen.
After the cat imparted us with its fortune and good luck, we took a look at the trees and stones near the shrine.
We also explored the shrine grounds and paid our respects to it with a small offering.
And then it was off to the trailhead to start hiking.
Well, the trail does not disappoint from the start. Very steep uphill right away.
But it feels good to walk, though.
Bryan, do you feel the same?
Positive attitude, guys.
Well, one other piece of good news is that it doesn't look like getting lost will be much of an issue. So far, it is incredibly well marked.
Well, the day started off feeling cool and breezy, but it's already gone. I'm just like making peace with the fact that I'm gonna be soaking by the end of the day. But I think if we keep this slow, steady pace up on the uphills, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And just moments later,
I'm already sweating a lot. I'm gonna be soaked through in 10 minutes.
I think this is the test of faith.
Hiking through the cave is known as Tainai Kuguri, Literally mean passing through the room. This is considered a test of faith. Ooh, that's scary.
Bad time to mention I'm very claustrophobic.
Whoa. Very narrow. Can you even make it through?
I can. It's gonna be tough. Very tight for me. My bag won't go through. Looked a lot easier in the YouTube videos.
Thomas had gotten through the cave, but his backpack wasn't able to squeeze through, so he went back around to retrieve it. Now, it was my turn to try.
Ooh, wow. Why did I do this? Oh, my tofu.
Context. We went around the side there.
All right, you know what? I went through, I'm going back.
Okay, see you on the other side.
Bye.
Yeah, camel going through the eye of a needle to get into heaven. And the analogy there was you have to leave your possessions behind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
to
think
go to heaven.
Buddha's way of telling us.
Leave your possessions behind.
After that, we were greeted with a section of flat ground.
Wow. What sweet relief.
That beginning section of the trail hopefully will make the rest of the trail feel easier. That might be wishful thinking, though. We shall see.
Nezu-Oji.
So there used to be a shrine here. It was first mentioned in the guidebook written in the Genroku period, which is 1688 to 1704. And now, this is all that remains, I suppose.
We collected another stamp. In place of the old shrine was a rock marking its former location.
Coins and cairns were also piled near the shrine. Here, it's actually customary to place a small rock at the various shrines. In some Buddhist sects, it's believed that the piles can guide children who have passed away to nirvana, and that demons will come by to try to knock them down.
The trail continued again into a comically steep incline. Although the trail was utterly grueling, it certainly put one in the mindset of an ascetic monk.
This is a trip that you make out of it what you want to. I think if you want to have a miserable time, you'll have a miserable time. If you want to force yourself to find some zen and some peace and some satisfaction, then you gotta look for that.
As we hiked, we were surrounded by the sounds and sights of summer in full bloom. Cicadas chirped all around us, and vibrant caterpillars dangled from strands of silk.
As we continued into the mountain ridges, we could see the now distant signs of civilization between the openings of the trees.
Takahara Kumano Jinja. That's next, right?
I don't think I got enough sleep, because this is the first time where I've just felt bad.
I'm actually having a pretty similar experience to when me and Daryl climbed Mount Tengu, where I would look at some of these uphills and I'd be like, how could anything be that steep that is not vertical? You know what I mean?
This reminds me a lot of Mount Katahdin. There's no switchbacks.
We continued on, and the lack of sleep was definitely catching up to me.
Whew. Well, I am ready for samsara.
You are in samsara.
I'm ready for nirvana.
The sudden steepness at the beginning of the trail had caught us all off guard. With that and the lack of sleep, we took a moment to figure out if we could even finish the hike if it continued on like this.
I'll hike it. I don't want to bail out on the first day, at least.
But it was far too early to give up. We continued on, pacing ourselves as we climbed up the steep hills. Before long, we had reached another landmark.
So we are at the high point right there. Mm-hmm. It's all downhill until we have to do 1.5 times what we just did again.
All right.
We continued along the trail, which had thankfully eased up a bit. As we hiked, Andrew spotted some spiky green shells strewn across the forest floor.
So that really spiny shell is pretty special because that belongs to a chestnut tree. And in the US, the American chestnuts were exterminated completely. So seeing a chestnut tree in the US is super rare these days. And usually if you do, it's an Asian chestnut, like the one we just saw here.
How did it get extinct?
Over harvesting and also some sort of fungus introduced that wiped it out.
They're all over the place.
These chestnuts were just one of many examples of the unique nature we'd encounter during our hike.
Up ahead on the trail, we came across an intersection.
Anything cool down there? Nope, just more stairs. I mean, the whole place is cool, don't get me wrong. But
You know, this flat section, actually, what's remarkable about it is how unremarkable it is. This feels like we could be hiking anywhere that we've hiked a million times before. But then you kind of look in the distance and you're like, oh, nope, I'm in some very nice mountains.
I think if you want to divert and go to the top of the mountain,
Oh.
you might be able to. Okay, so it looks like it intersects. You want to go up with me?
We go up, you guys go to the side?
Sure.
We split up to see what each side of the path had to offer.
Both trails were quite different, but each one offered their own reward. One, a fantastic view, and the other, a breezy hike.
How does it feel?
It's pretty special. Pretty special place.
Man.
You know, when you're on the flat part of the trail, anything seems possible. But those uphills were some of the steepest uphills we've probably ever done in our life. Whew.
Just like feel so optimistic when you're hiking on flat ground.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I can do this.
The view at the top was beautiful. Nearby was a small granite marker marking the peak of this particular hill.
Now, we all continued onward to meet up with each other once again.
I feel like I just heard them whoop. It's kind of a long little downhill here, so they might still be walking for a bit.
So there was a little trail junction back there. We were waiting a little bit and we didn't see them, so we're gonna go up ahead a little bit just in case. They can easily catch up to us.
Okay, yeah. It's gotta be it.
Taki, yeah.
So we came from Takijirioji, 1.7 kilometers. That's how much we've done so far. Lookout point was just at 0.2 miles. Where is Bryan and Andrew? How did we beat them here?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. We just whooped at them and we heard them whoop back. And they almost sounded like they were ahead of us, so yeah, that was definitely not where the rendezvous point was. Way back there.
Oh, you guys were waiting at a different junction?
Yeah, just for a moment. We were like, this can't be it. This is way too soon.
Reunited again, we kept hiking on the trail, which now descended gradually downhill, and we saw a towel hanging from a branch.
Just want to feel this moment. You don't know how good that feels.
The sun came out and cicadas started chirping. Combined with the easy hiking, our moods were definitely improved.
We were leaving an area where hunting was restricted, and up ahead, we saw some signs of civilization.
Okay.
I think there's a road down here.
Oh, there's a bus schedule here. Trying to figure out where we are right now. This is where we're at right now. Takahara Shrine.
So 2 options here. We can take this road and you can meet us at the next shrine, or you can take the hiking trail. Either way, you're gonna go up the same elevation, but the hiking trail is likely gonna be bumpier, more ups and downs. What do we wanna do? Trail? Trail?
Still good for the trail?
Trail. Cool.
One feature of the Kumano Kodo is that there are bus stops and roads that allow you to skip certain sections of the trail in case anything goes wrong.
But for now, we had no reason not to continue on the natural mountain trail.
It's very easy to kind of ignore the fact that we are on a very steep mountain here because there's so many trees that stick out on either side. I mean, I've been on some rocky mountain passes that have been less steep than that. You fall down there, you're gonna die. There weren't some trees down there to catch you.
How dare you threaten me like that?
The path wound through the forests and alongside roads. Along the way, we saw some sort of white amanita mushroom growing near a decaying stump.
And up ahead was another small shrine.
After paying our respects, Thomas and I heard a strange sound further along the trail.
We heard something. It was like... Yeah.
I don't see any big, large grizzly bears down there. Any grizzlies on the right?
Nope.
Good. I think we're several thousand miles away from our nearest grizzly. Pit vipers, though. Pit vipers could be anywhere.
Okay, yeah, let's watch for the pit vipers.
As with any unfamiliar biome, it's important to know the risks of any trail you hike. Here in Japan, there are venomous pit vipers, giant hornets, and even leeches. Luckily, we hadn't encountered any of them yet.
We had reached another stretch of flat ground. Unfortunately, we were met with another steep incline just about 20 meters down the trail. We noticed that many of the uphills here went straight up, with no switchbacks to make the incline more gradual.
and the hot summer weather just added to the fun.
I think this would be challenging any other time of year. I think it's grueling right now. But what's life without a little grueling?
This is maybe the most well-marked trail we've been on in a long time. Like, this is as well marked as like a city trail, you know, for being a out in the middle of nowhere trail. Looks like there's a little banner up ahead. I wonder what that is. 6
Nakahechi.
So is that 6 kilometers? This can't be 6 kilometers.
I think it's 6 half kilometers.
Cool. 3 kilometers then. Okay, see if you can open that up for me. I can try to read it. Okay. I think it says Fufu-chi-ski. That could be wrong, but I think that's husband and wife knowledge or something.
That might be the husband and wife right there.
The banner had actually read Fufu Jizo, meaning couples Jizo. Jizo statues are depictions of a Buddhist monk who acts as a guardian for children and travelers.
Offering.
Those who are about to become husbands and wives should be
thank you.
making the offering. And that's your Adventure Archives announcement.
At the same time.
The trail now led us out of the forest and into a small developed area.
I think this is somebody's house.
Whoa.
Something Oka.
What postman has to come up here to deliver mail?
Wow.
The path was now flat and paved, which felt great on our feet. We passed by a few more buildings which seemed like homes or inns.
I think this is a little bed and breakfast or a retreat or something. Oh, there's a little inn right here. Oh, so you can actually get cars up here.
Huh. Sounds preferable. It's not only a more civilized environment, but it's a civilized environment that feels so different from what we're used to.
Yeah, look at these terraces right here. Yeah. It's a little parking lawn.
Hiking through this small town while surrounded by lively summer sounds felt absolutely tranquil, and was a surreal change in scenery.
Wow. My word.
Crazy.
This is like some sort of weird dream.
Electric fence in use. I'm sure they've got some human-sized trespassers trying to take their food.
Don't steal their vegetables.
Yeah.
Look at those mountains.
Along the path, we saw a woodworking shop, and we also saw some cultivated trees growing in some people's yards.
Wow, these chestnuts are huge. It's like the size of a spiky tennis ball. Super cool.
Further into the town, we caught a great view of the surrounding scenery. Being able to see an unobstructed view of the mountains and valleys was definitely a boost to our morale.
As we passed by more buildings, we saw a coffee shop that was unfortunately closed.
Man, if they were open, I would totally get a coffee. Ice cold coffee, man, great.
Up ahead, we came across another landmark.
Okay, so far we've done 3.7 kilometers. We've got 9.3 to go.
This is Tanabe, Takahara Shrine right here.
We inspected the shrine and entered a building just next to it that had the stamp for this location.
Oh, it's nice in here.
A lot of cool paintings.
Inside the building were depictions of dragons, considered to be guardians that protect humanity, as well as symbols of strength, good fortune, and wisdom.
Records have referenced the shrine as far back as the year 1109, though the structure itself had obviously been restored and given a fresh coat of paint recently. In front of the shrine was a daidoro, or a stone lantern, and there were other small statues around it.
There were also massive trees nearby, wrapped in shide folded paper decorations used to mark out sacred sites in Shintoism.
according to this sign, these big trees are called camphor trees. Kind of remind me of sycamore trees back home because those tend to get really big like that. That is massive though. So nearby there was also a horse chestnut tree. Not to be confused with actual chestnut because these are poisonous. And they kind of resemble buckeye trees that we have back home. And this is the nut. And if you look inside, you can see this buckeye looking nut on the inside. Really cool looking.
I think we're gonna be heading up there pretty soon. A lot of it's paved and then it leaves the paved and that's when it starts to get pretty steep. We'll hug the right side of that and then work our way up some steeper mountains too. So not as steep, but still pretty steep mountains. We continued on, and the path led us further through the developed area.
This is pretty cool because it's basically just going through a regular town. Like, people just live here. And in fact, up ahead, there's a vending machine.
To get to the vending machine, we came to an open parking lot that overlooked an incredible view.
Wow, dude, there's just dragonflies flying everywhere. Incredible views. It was a tough hike, but it's beautiful.
The bright blue sky contrasted perfectly with the dark mountains that surrounded terraces of yellow-green rice paddies.
The nature around us was absolutely stunning. An idyllic scene that made the nearby vending machine seem especially out of place, but certainly not unappreciated.
It's like a lemon iced tea with some honey in there, I guess. Oh, that's something you don't get to enjoy on the trail very often. Cheers.
I'm the only one who got coffee?
Yeah, I had coffee
Savor
this
it,
morning.
savor it.
I stopped drinking coffee every day precisely for times like this, where you need a performance-enhancing boost. And if you're not used to it, the caffeine hits you and
A little bit. That was so refreshing though. 10 out of 10.
And up ahead, we saw another interesting thing.
So along the ground are these orange fruits. These are actually wild persimmons. You can kind of smell that persimmon flavor, but I'm not going to eat it right now. Yeah, this is the persimmon tree here. They're usually good once they actually fall off. Before that, they're too underripe.
The trail now led us up a steep, narrow alleyway path.
oh, there's a little lodge right here. That'd be nice.
As we made our way up the stone path, we saw various sights. A small field with piles of cut logs, a trickling mossy street gutter, and something else.
There's a boar trap there.
And we also saw a large, rather recognizable plant.
Is this bamboo?
I don't know what kind exactly. I know golden bamboo is a common species here. But yeah.
As you kind of go higher and higher, you know, this narrow road makes you feel like you're walking through the Shire,
Yeah.
but in Japan. Don't touch these fences, I think they're electric.
Yeah. That says danger. Wow. Guess they're drying the rice?
We again passed by another cafe and inn. We continued on, and Andrew spotted another persimmon tree.
These are the Hachiya persimmons, which grow a little bit longer in the shape. When they get ripe, they are so juicy and delicious. It's one of my favorite fruits.
We had under 9 kilometers, or 5.6 miles to our destination, but we were savoring the tranquil vibes of this town.
Dude, only in my wildest dreams did I think we'd ever hike a trail like this.
This is like nothing else we've ever done before. All right, so we follow this until it ends, which should be just a little bit further, and then it gets pretty damn steep.
All right. I feel like we've been rejuvenated enough.
Yes. Let's get out of the sun.
All right.
Dragonflies darted around us as we took in the rustic sights of the town and followed the path back into the wilderness.
Back into the woods.
And just as we left the town, we came across another shrine.
This is the shrine we should make a big offering to because this is a lot of uphill.
Not far into the trail, we also saw a pile of rubble.
There's probably a house at one point. And it's just old and destroyed now.
We entered a section of cedar trees which flanked the sunken stone path on either side.
Even though these cedars are already gigantic and looming, you feel even more dwarfed because they start at your head level.
Oh, yeah.
You know, every time I hike uphill in the Smokies or an environment like that, an image of an old Obachan hiking in the woods in an anime comes to mind. And now I'm living that reality.
Japanese cedar forests like this one are planted, with some of them established decades ago and others centuries ago. Along this trail, they're often planted near sacred sites and seem to blend together the organic and the orderly, as is so common in Japanese aesthetics.
It's just interesting someone's lined up these glass bottles. I don't know if that's spiritual stuff or if that's just random. And an old piece of ceramic here. Definitely remnants of an old house or something.
Up ahead, we saw an abandoned A-frame house next to the trail.
They've even got the traditional Japanese hearth in here.
And nearby was a small shelter with another marker stone.
So we're at 9. What number are we getting to today? Do you know?
26 will be the last one, 26.
Okay, well that means we're about a little more than a third of the way there. So reasonable time. Our typical pace is just about 1 mile an hour. We've hiked for 3 hours and 5 minutes, and we've done 3.87 miles. We're obviously a lot slower than other people, but for the amount of distance we have to do and when we want to get to the inn, I think we're actually making decent time.
Up ahead, we came to a trail junction.
Oh, so you can go 700 meters up to a little mountain. Do you want to?
I don't.
As we hiked, we stopped and talked to another hiker.
So that gentleman is a guide and he's studying the trail before he receives some Australian guests. But this apparently is an old charcoal kiln, about 100 years old, he said, and there used to be a stone roof over the top with an opening in the front. So I imagine they'd take a lot of this wood and just burn it in a smokeless environment so it becomes charcoal that they can use to forge and things like that.
I think one thing about seeing old structures that date really far back is that it makes the history more tangible. Like no matter where you go, there's history to it. But when you see stuff like that, you're like, man, there were actual humans doing stuff out here a long time ago. Okay, we're at 10.
We now had 8 kilometers, or under 5 miles left. Along the way, I saw a log with some mushrooms growing on them.
Not exactly sure what those are, but I think they might be in the Ganoderma genus, just based on the shape of them. If they are in that genus, reishi mushrooms, which are a really prized medicinal mushroom in Japanese and Chinese culture, are also in that genus.
As we climbed the hill, we came to an unexpected body of water.
As much as I want to go off the trail and go back there, some of these spiders are just like this big.
Oh, I haven't seen any yet.
Right up there.
Ooh, Mama, I'm not messing with that. Is this another leap of faith?
It's a leap of death.
Let's see if I can see into it. Wow.
It's all you, buddy. You go in there.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
This must be some sort of dam that was built up at some point, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, you know, I bet it's like a reservoir that feeds water down the mountain.
There's some tubing.
Yeah.
Some pipes that went all the way down.
Huh.
We entered another section of tall, mesmerizing cedar trees. Up ahead, we came to a sign pointing us to another shrine.
We've done 1.7 kilometers since the town. Next stop is Daimon-Oji.
Daimon is big door. Does that mean there's a big torii gate?
Oh,
I wonder.
possible.
The trail continued uphill through the cedars, but as we trudged along, a cool, calming breeze rolled through the forest.
The weather is mercifully cool right now. Oh, it is literally the coolest it's been since we got to Japan. According to the weather forecast, we've got rain at 5 p.m. And if all goes according to plan, we will be long done with hiking by then. And we can be safe and inside.
And we now approach Daimon-Oji.
So, the actual name of this shrine doesn't exist in records, but the name Daimon does in fact come from the fact that it's believed there used to be a big torii gate here. Fujiwara Munetada on his pilgrimage stayed near the shrine in a shed with a drinking fountain, apparently.
We collected another stamp from the shrine.
Okay, so we haven't missed anything, right? This is Takahara Kumano Shrine. That's what we did last.
We got most of it.
After visiting the shrine, we continued onward.
So I think we're about 3/4 of the way to the highest point. It's going to get a little higher, then we're going to drop down, and then we'll have a pretty steep push at the end. And then after that, it should be smooth sailing for most of the way down.
We continued on and came to another trail marker.
All right, 12.
Almost halfway there.
Robby and Thomas are up ahead. I'm in the middle and Bryan's in the back. I am definitely not operating at peak performance right now, but the uphills are rough, but this is manageable right now.
I thought I was going at a fast pace, and then I'm following Robby, and I'm like, why am I out of breath? It's because Robby's running up that mountain.
I'm telling you, man. Coffee, that performance-enhancing drug, it gives you false confidence.
I completely forgot about the coffee. I'm like, where is this Robby coming from?
Yeah, taking breaks is definitely a necessity on this trail, though. I can't just sustain this charge up this hill. Every time I take a break, I get another wind to keep going. One thing that we can all count our blessings for is that the temperature and the breeze up at this height is pretty manageable compared to what we were experiencing down on sea level. With the shade protecting us from the sun, this is actually comfortable.
I turned the corner over here and I looked and I said, man, this is the Smokies.
Yes.
This is the Smokies. Yeah. And what's funny is if you watch our most recent Smokies episode, there's a little hill there called Masanab, which is named after a Japanese man who loved those mountains so much. And I can absolutely see why those mountains would remind him of home if this is what a lot of Japan looks like.
I don't know about you, Bryan, but my outlook on life does a complete 180 when I'm going flat or downhill. 100%, yes. When I'm uphill, I'm like, there's no hope in the world. And now I'm like, oh, I could do this for days.
The trail was much flatter and easier to hike in this section, a far cry from the steep uphills at the start.
This is officially the halfway marker for today. Great pace.
And along with the constant distant posts, the trail was very well marked.
Just about every intersection we've come to where you could make a mistake, they have little signs that tell you, don't go this way, and then just very well marked, go this way. It's a nice convenience that I speak Japanese, but you absolutely don't need to know any Japanese to get around this country, even doing what we're doing right now.
I will say though, don't go off the trail, because there are big spiders that you will walk into, especially if you're tall like me.
Like the planted cedar forests, Japan's trails feel orderly and rugged all at once. All around us was the wildness of summer. Yet all along this well-marked trail were modern amenities, some of which were no longer in use.
Nice solid table.
We came across a clearing near the next shrine and decided to sit and take a break and enjoy some snacks.
How are y'all doing?
I'm feeling much better than I was earlier. Temperature and the breeze, fortunately, manageable at this height. Yeah. That mountain elevation and those trees, huge difference.
Yeah, the elevation's about 2,000 feet right now. It's not going to have an effect on your breathing, but it will lower the temperature about 6 degrees Fahrenheit.
The sound is an absolute assault on your ears.
I got this white peach cream bun. It's quite good. It's got a good cream filling. Nice sweet glazed top. And it has a bit of a fruity tartness to it. I'm hoping this continues to energize me. Also got these nice portable fans. Wasn't sure if it was going to be worth bringing this, but it is worth it.
After that, we grabbed our stamp at the next shrine, then continued on our way. And here, the landscape reminded us of a previous hike we had done in Japan.
Thomas, this section of the trail is very similar to Kumotori. So even though you haven't done that, you're getting a sense of the environment and the difficulty.
I could never really gauge how hard Kumatori actually was, because that was when we were starting actually doing mountain hikes, and every mountain seemed like a pretty hard hike. But this is no joke. This is steep.
As we hiked, we saw a Japanese 5-lined skink, which had a brilliant blue tail.
And up ahead, we came to a sign marking a point of interest.
Apparently, somebody died here, presumably on a pilgrimage, and driven by hunger and fatigue, took an oval gold coin, a koban in his mouth, and died. Hence the name Koban Jizo.
Near the sign was a small Jizo statue, with several coins piled around it.
We now entered a section of hillside that had been eroded away. Fallen logs laid below, and the trail had been reinforced with a built-up terrace.
Up ahead was another sign commemorating a former pilgrim of the ancient trail.
So this guy's name was Jujo Akushiro. So the mountain behind the site is called Akushiro and is 782 meters tall.
Aku means bad, is because they say usually that means evil person, but because of his valor, he was called Aku, or bad.
We kept hiking. We were continually amazed at how familiar some of this trail felt.
Still can't get over how similar this is to the Smokies.
Yeah, just even the little sections where water comes down looks just like it.
In the foliage below, we saw a snake slithering around, and we saw some other signs of wildlife.
Gregory Bald, actually, in the Smokies, we saw a bunch of ground like this that we think were wild boars. Looks like it might have been here, too.
A lot of it down there. Oh, hello.
Yo, bear.
Yo, bear.
Yo, boar.
Yo, boar.
We made swift progress on this flat section of the trail.
The nice thing about kilometers is psychologically feels like you're accomplishing a lot more than with miles.
We are at the top of the roller coaster, about to shoot down the mountain here in a little bit.
The trail now descended downhill through another section of cedar trees.
But before long, the terrain shifted, climbing uphill once again.
We now passed through a more natural section of woods, surrounded by evergreens like Japanese hemlock and various deciduous trees. And we saw this Joro spider, a type of orb weaver, trying to remove a seed from its web.
Now, we came to another informational sign.
So according to this, Teahouses used to be common along this trail.
Robby.
Robby. What?
There's a big hornet. It's a hornet. Move.
Is it still chasing me?
I don't know. I don't see it.
It was a scary hornet.
It was this big.
The Teahouses were a way for the locals and the pilgrims to interact. It was a nice little resting point for the pilgrims.
8.
We now only had 4 kilometers, or 2.5 miles left to go. We were high up with a great view of distant mountains, but the midday summer heat was at its peak.
Got my tactical fan.
You gotta use every tool in your tool chest. Okay, so that's 3.5 kilometers left. So Andrew was saying earlier that kilometers make you feel like you're doing more distance, which is nice. But when you're getting towards the end of your hike, you can start looking at miles instead, and then you have less to do. So it's 3.5 kilometers, but it's probably only like 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
I witnessed a most amazing sight that filled me with unfathomable power. You should all climb to the top of this mountain to worship the moon as it rises on the most auspicious day. A 3-fold moon will appear.
So, 3-fold moon viewing points. We're definitely going down here, but the question is, can we go up here and then continue?
Yeah, this isn't on the map.
My guess is that you can go up, but you have to come back down the same way. Since there's no moon out right now.
I'm good to skip.
I'm good to skip.
Okay.
We descended further down the mountain, making great progress with the distance.
6.5 kilometers left, also known as 3 kilometers.
But then, we ran into a slight obstacle.
Oh, that.
I don't see it.
It's right there. Right. Come on. Let's move, buddy. Come on. 100% that's a pit viper. I just looked it up. Come on, let's move.
Where is it?
It's right there. You see it moving?
You got it?
Get a little closer to me.
I got it.
It's going up the mountain. See it?
Mm-hmm.
That is a pit viper right there.
Oh, yeah?
You can tell because it's got a diamond-shaped head, it's got cat-like eyes, and it's got these rings on it. It's also the color it should be. So we're going to move very quickly over here.
Oh, it's looking at you. Keep going.
You good, Bryan?
One of the problems with pit vipers compared to rattlesnakes in the US is rattlesnakes will let you know where they are. You get too close, it's going to scare you, but you're going to know where it is.
That one did not give much warning.
No. Bryan, can I just take one of your hiking sticks?
The pit viper had definitely been an alarming sight. But once the adrenaline died down, we took in the peaceful sounds of summer around us.
We came to an intersection with the road, where we made some preparations before heading back into the woods.
So I'm a little spooked after that pit viper. And I think what we need to do is have some rule where whoever's in front gets a whacking stick.
A stone marked the site of an old tea house further on the trail, and pieces of broken pottery had been placed nearby.
And I saw a tree I wanted Andrew to identify.
Okay, so this tree right here.
Of course, a Japanese maple.
Okay, so last time I was in Japan, I went to a place called Mino Falls, and they were selling fried maple leaves. I was like, man, I know I should try those so that I can show you what it's like and then tell you what it's like. I just could not bring myself to do it. I was like, I know that leaf under there is just gonna be a leaf. Maybe it would have tasted good, I don't know, but just the idea of a fried maple leaf did not sound appealing at all.
When they are just coming out in the springtime, they're tender enough that you can eat them without it being really fibrous.
Oh.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah, just in my head, it just sounded like eating a crunchy
bay leaf.
fall leaf. Yeah.
Look, I know we're not supposed to get rain until like 5 o'clock, but this feels like it's about to rain.
This feels like
It
rain.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep moving.
It looks like it too. 1.6 for a mile.
Further along the trail, there was an opening in the trees, through which we could see a road leading into a tunnel carved into the base of the hill.
Wow. Tunnel right through the mountain.
Man, I thought hiking this was hard, but building that would be way worse. Oh yeah. And who, like, even building this path? Who built this path? You got to be on the 7th pillar of the 8 pillars. Is that what it is? The eightfold path. You got to be on the 7th fold at least to do that.
All right, 0.1 kilometers to the next stamp location.
The trail descended rapidly now, taking us into a low-lying gully crisscrossed with gentle mountain streams.
Here, a small stone shrine stood next to a carved tablet, with the name of the shrine inscribed on it.
We collected our stamp, then read about the significance of the shrine.
So the plaque says that Osakamoto-Oji Shrine was so named because it was located on the foot of Osaka Pass. And then there was a dude who walked by and saw a snake-like object, and then it turned into a woman. What's crazy, though, is that says that happened in 1109. They have records going back that far.
Near the shrine, we amazingly found some ginseng growing, complete with an umbel of bright red berries. Ginseng, of course, is a very important component in traditional Chinese medicine.
And as we stood in the valley, we noticed the cicadas starting back up. Hopefully, a sign that we would avoid the rain for a while longer.
We continued along the creeks and streams, and noticed something colorful lying on the ground that we thought was a snack someone had dropped.
It's pretty soft.
Well, that doesn't look like a snack.
No, it does not look like a snack.
Wow. 2 more kilometers, so a little over a mile, but not by much.
We hiked on through the forest, whose dense shrubs, ferns, and lush moss created the feeling of a dense rainforest.
and we saw an out-of-place looking plant that added to the forest's tropical ambiance.
I think it's a type of fan palm. I'm honestly not sure if it's native here, but the latitude we're on is pretty far south actually. Relatively similar to the deep south in the US, so it's entirely possible it would grow here. But it kind of reminds me of when you're walking through a hardwood forest in the eastern US and you just see a random pine tree sprouting out of nowhere. It's really interesting.
This tree was likely Livistona chinensis, the Chinese fan palm, which is native to parts of Japan, although more common further south.
A bridge led us over a channel that had been dug into the forest, which, despite being completely geometric, seemed to fit right into its surrounding environment, especially with its concrete and stonework covered in a medley of moss and ferns.
You know, those type of structures are so beautiful and so interesting now. Just imagine hundreds of years from now how interesting those are going to be to people. Like, man, there was humans back then.
Even the stone wall up here, like the way the stones are rounded is so interesting.
Yeah.
As we hiked on through the woods, we noticed more openings in the canopy above, and more man-made structures along the trail.
Before long, we came to another trail marker.
1.5 more kilometers left. It's just under a mile.
After passing through a small patch of bamboo, the trail led us to a junction, with one path leading across a road and into civilization.
We made our way across the street. A nearby sign pointed the way to a shrine ahead on the trail.
But for now, we figured we could take a break and see if there were any refreshments to enjoy.
Just across the street was a small sitting area, complete with vending machines serving cold drinks. We decided to partake in them.
I got a lemon Tsukasa.
I got a Calpis soda.
Man, that was great. This is amazing. If there's one thing that Japan is really ahead of than the rest of the world is vending machines. Instant, like you drop the coin and you press a button, pow!
But as we enjoyed the drinks, Bryan had some potentially bad news.
Guys, I hate to be a downer, but I need to face the reality that I don't know if I can finish this hike. Not today, I mean this whole hike. So we'll have to discuss it when we get to town. I think this hike is pushing me to my absolute limit, and I think I know why I always get dehydrated. I think I literally sweat faster than my body can absorb water. No, I'm not even joking, because I'll know I'm dehydrated and I'll drink water and it will just come right out of me. My body's like, nope, can't hold any more water.
That's interesting, because you said you brought 4 liters of water, and I only brought 2.5. And I think I've maybe drank half of that.
It'd probably be a different circumstance if it was a cooler, like manageable weather. The first half of this hike, I feel like it's been one of the toughest ones we've done. Like those uphills were no joke at the beginning. That was crazy. But
it's important to know your limits and everything, and I think the benefit of this hike is that there's buses that take you to and from each town. So we can definitely take a look and figure out what are some maybe more streamlined options to get you to the next stop.
obviously, I wouldn't be able to do the whole hike, but like you said, you got to know your limits. And also, my biggest concern is being a hindrance to you guys.
Don't worry about that.
Well, I mean, I just don't want to be like in the middle of the hike and then suddenly I'm like, I can't do this. I can't just go on, you know?
Yeah.
Or I'm too slow for you guys.
That would make for more interesting watching.
Whether or not I would be able to finish the rest of the trail would remain to be seen. But for now, we ambled around the nearby gift shop and rested some more.
While we rested, I looked over the timetable of bus stops in case we would have to utilize them later on.
After that, we made our way back across the street to continue our hike on the trail.
Another shrine was just 800 meters ahead, and the town we would be staying in was not much further than that.
But of course, we first had to hike uphill a little bit more.
There were more signs pointing the way ahead. It wasn't much longer now.
That's it. Chikatsuyu Oji, 1.1 kilometers.
Oh, we are so close.
And just a fantastic breeze, man. Feels so good.
I know it's really hot, but this is so much better than what I expected it to be. I was just bracing myself for just the worst heat we've ever experienced. But when the breeze is actually blowing, it's almost nice. It's almost pretty nice.
So according to the map, we can pick up the trail right here, or we can walk this down and then pick up the trail again later.
Considering it has a sign that specifically says this is not the Kumano Kodo, for completionist's sake, we might want to do this, but...
It has been decided.
And it's only a kilometer.
We continued on the trail and spotted some brightly colored golden spindle mushrooms growing from the soil.
One kilometer left. All
What do you
right.
think this is? An old bridge?
Looks like an old footbridge or something.
My guess would be to move something, but maybe it was a footbridge.
So interesting. Relics from all sorts of different ages.
The metal track continued through the forest ahead.
I'm wondering if this is connected to like some type of mining system or some way to get logs down.
It looks like there's a cart that would go on it. It has those gears on it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got gears on it to make it go up, so you can easily like turn it and everything and lock it in.
And up ahead, we ran into the guide we had talked to before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It says cow horse doji statue. And then half a kilometer back to our hostel.
The next shrine was dedicated to an emperor who picked reed plants to use as chopsticks. When he noticed the dew on the red stalks of the plant, he inquired if it was blood or dew, or translated into Japanese, Chikatsuyu, hence the name of the town.
The statue at the shrine also depicted the emperor as a boy riding both a cow and a horse simultaneously.
We continued on, ever closer to our destination.
Is there any greater feeling than getting into town after a hike? Nope. All right, half a kilometer left. Almost 26.
At the forest's edge was a picnic shelter that overlooked the entire town, nestled in a cozy valley below.
That is beautiful.
And now, we made our way down.
All right, we've been hiking for 7 hours and 20 minutes, 10.06 miles. When we started hiking this morning and the uphill was so difficult, even getting there by 5 o'clock seemed like an impossibility. But we're there before 3. That's not bad.
The path weaves through patches of woods, fields of rice, and traditional houses and inns.
The Chikatsuyu guest house.
What a nice welcome. Man, I hope people know what they have when they live here. This is just intense beauty.
Somehow, we got the feeling that the small town's beauty was not lost on anyone.
We walked over a large bridge that spanned across the Hiki River. Houses sat on the opposite bank, resting peacefully among the meadows and groves of cedar trees.
Never done anything this cool.
It truly was a surreal feeling. Being in such a small rural village like this, a place that, were it not for the Kumano Kodo, many outsiders might not even know it existed.
Just across the bridge was a small plot of land where the Chikatsuyu-Oji shrine sat.
Thankful to have made it to the town, we paid our respects, then collected another stamp before taking a moment to sit, rest, and take everything in.
And then, it was time to move on.
Perfect timing too, because just as we got here, the rain's starting to come down, and my watch is about to flip over to 10 miles exactly.
Wow, how could we have timed that more perfectly? Rain just started. We were right here. All right. Okay, we'll see you on the inside. We got to check in.
Tonight, we are staying at the Minshuku WAGO, a quaint little inn that Daryl had helped book for us.
We headed upstairs to the living quarters, where it is of course customary to remove your shoes.
The area was clean and comfortable, and we were quite impressed.
So, yesterday we stayed at the Tsukasa house. Highly recommended. Today we're staying at the Minshuku WAGO. Highly recommended. Like, we were the only 4 people in here today, and the only 4 people in there yesterday. Why are people sleeping on these great places?
This is also not the busy season. But if there's
But all the other places were booked up. So for some reason, people booked this one last. I don't know.
If there's an AC, I highly recommend it.
I'm just sitting here, zen, trying to feel the AC on my skin.
Bryan has found enlightenment. Wow, man, talk about the highest highs and the lowest lows. That first uphill was so brutal, but this is just...
It's like I've been in a pool all day. I never sweat this much.
Yeah.
I forget what the term is called, but there's like a certain point where humans just begin to sweat, and you cannot replenish the water.
Yeah. This is no joke of a hike. Like, there's parts that were easy and kind of normal, but there were other parts that were just brutal. It feels like the end of a hike to me, almost. And it's only the first day.
You know why?
Huh.
We're not having a post-hike meal. We're having the extremely rare mid-hike meal.
Yeah. Every night is going to be amazing. But the hikes might be pretty tough.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
We headed downstairs for food.
Although our host had already eaten, he graciously offered to walk us to the part of town where there were a few restaurants and grocery stores available.
During the walk, we were curious to get to know him.
Did you grow up here?
No. I was born in Osaka.
Oh, okay.
And settled to here like 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Have you ever been to Osaka?
Not yet. We
Not
passed
yet.
through.
Oh, yeah. It's nice city.
Okay.
But so crowded.
Yeah.
And many strangers.
We were filled with absolute peace. The quiet serenity of the town, combined with its modern conveniences, seemed like the perfect balance for the wild forests and rugged mountain trails that we had just been on. A hawk soared on a breeze above a grove of bamboo, becoming a perfect embodiment of Zen.
He arrived at the plaza where we could find food.
Get some snacks and stuff there for tomorrow. Over there. Supermarket.
Now that we had arrived, our host headed back.
わかります。はい、大丈夫。じゃあね。
Oh, enter from the left.
So they got set meals, they've got bowls, they've got udon and sushi.
Ooh. They've got the gooey bowl with natto, okra, and grated yam, which kind of has this like sticky tapioca texture. I don't know what makabu is, but it must be slimy. Cold tea. This is some orange juice drink. Probably don't need to tilt the cup. It's kind of like a Sunny D or something. It's good.
And along with that, we had some crisp, refreshing beer.
You know that I hiccup every time I have carbonated beverages.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
Inari sushi. Nice and sweet, substantive.
Next was a traditional dish from the Kumano region, mehari zushi, which is rice wrapped in pickled takana, or Japanese mustard leaves.
I got these like tiny little white fish. I thought they'd actually be bigger, but just a bunch of little river fish. It's kind of the texture of like shredded crab meat salad, but it has a very rich, fishy taste to it.
I got the unagi don, or eel rice bowl, which came with some soup as well.
Oh, baby. That was good. It's a much softer texture than I thought. But the sauce flavor, quite good.
And I got some thin sliced pork for my set meal.
It's a very thin slice, but it's like the most delicious pork chop I've ever had. It's citrusy, it's light.
Little hunger spice on top, too.
And I got a grilled eel bowl, slightly different from how eel is usually prepared. This one seems to be like grilled more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a grilled char. That's good.
And each of our meals came with a bowl with this in it. It's definitely very gooey. Yeah, it's like savory. Also, I'm wondering what these are for. Those are sweet.
So we asked Daryl what this was through the internet because he's not here. I wish Daryl was here. But this is grated mountain yam. It's called tororo. It's such a unique, it's salty, but it also disappears in your mouth as soon as you put it in. Not my favorite texture or flavor, but definitely an interesting experience.
I've actually had this yam from the store, but usually I'll peel it. I saw this actually in a Japanese show called Midnight Diner. But I'll peel it, cut it into slices, and then cook it with a little bit of soy sauce or butter. And it's actually really good because it's like kind of crunchy, but slimy and delicious. Never had it grated though. It's very strange.
I don't know if this is faux pas to do this, but I'm gonna try some of Andrew's little white fish in here.
I don't know if it'll be good.
The taste of the fish helps complement it a little bit since it's kind of like a savory taste, but I'm with Robby. It's like the texture is just something I'm not really a fan of. Tororo was one of the specialties here, said to nourish and restore the bodies of those making the pilgrimage on this trail.
After dinner, we headed to the nearby supermarket to stock up on snacks for the trail.
Then we moseyed on back to our inn, taking our time to enjoy the sights.
The rain had started falling just as we had made it back to the Minshuku WAGO.
As the rain fell, we reviewed our plans for tomorrow. Bryan and Andrew were going to follow the original plan laid out by Daryl, but I was considering hiking an extra section of the trail to collect more of the stamps.
Andrew and Bryan will be taking the bus stop to Doyukawabashi bus stop, and they will get there at 7:33. They're going to leave at 7:23, get there at 7:33. So is this even on the table, walking from where we are all the way to Doyukawa?
So we're trying to figure that out. If you're concerned about time, we were pacing at about 40 minutes a mile.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about
Being a purist?
Yeah, purist.
I mean, you'll...
Tell you how I feel.
You know, under normal circumstances, I'd care about being a purist, but this is a lot of miles in one day.
I don't know, I'm just leaning towards purity because as hard as today was, I felt like, especially by the end, it was super manageable.
It's about 25 kilometers tomorrow. About 15 and a half miles. If you want to do this, I will do this. If it were up to me, I'd want to enjoy the hike because there's a lot of really cool things at the end. I'd rather bail on that first road part than have to bail and skip all this stuff down here.
I'm not disagreeing, but what about this seems cool to you? Because did you look these up or something?
No, I'm just guessing that because it's, you know, you see, you go, you know, you got the Oji bus stop. Sorry, you got an Oji there. You got a stamp there.
If it's just a feeling, you can say it's just a feeling. That's fine.
No. I was looking at these red things, right? You got a stamp there. You got a stamp there.
Let's think about it. See how we feel.
We got plenty of time left in the day, at least, I think.
But before further planning, we decided to enjoy some snacks.
What are they actually? Are they sweet?
Supposed to be sweet.
Sweet.
The description is a sweet taste with a nostalgic taste.
Sweet.
It's mildly sweet, yeah.
I don't know if it's a pet peeve or what. I need to know if something's sweet or savory before I put it in my mouth.
Got us some sour cream and onion potato chips.
I had these on the trail. I demolished these. These are amazing. They're good.
Wow, they are good. See if I can catch it. Not even close.
We had gotten beers for our host, but he had something even better for us to drink.
Normally, we drink sake. Very small.
Yeah.
But
Where's yours?
From the bottom?
Join us.
okay.
Yeah.
We were the second guests ever at this guest house.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
And the host is awesome, and he speaks Chinese, Korean, Japanese, English. That's good. Very good.
That's smooth.
Yeah, that's
Strong but smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth は日本語なんて言いますか？
飲み心地がいい。Very smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth.
It's much better than the sake I've had before.
我没有喝
很
多。
酒。我们喝比较多。
Speaking of drinking more, none of us could get the lid back on this bottle.
You just have to finish it.
Yes. Maybe that just means we have to finish. That is weird.
Yeah.
如果你喝我
For the sake
Go.
We're all switching languages. Oh no.
Finish.
日本に初めて。
日本。そうだ。
Oh, that's okay.
乾杯。
乾杯。
很好喝。
Wow, that's good.
美味しい。
Yeah.
Oishi.
好喝。
ありがとうございます。
ああ、いえ。
はい、ありがとうございます。
That's great.
ありがとうございます。
Oh, we got it.
Ah.
Okay. For you?
Okay, we're
Okay, so
keeping
it was our plan. Tomorrow is all good, right? We know where we're meeting up?
Yes.
Okay, you guys are eating breakfast right on that bus. We'll see you guys somewhere on the trail or at the very least at that intersection that we marked on the map.
We will communicate with you as we travel.
Yeah, if we run out of signal though, we got that fallback point.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
We're ready to get up at 5:15 and get out the door by 5:30, right?
Fine, give me 5 a.m.
Okay, I think our plan is set. It's a pretty good plan. It's less than 8 o'clock right now. We're feeling good. We'll go to sleep, get some good rest. We'll see you in the morning.
We wasted no time and got right to bed. We had had a long day, and tomorrow was going to be even longer.
Good luck to both of you. I do not envy you, but we will meet up.
Let's hope it's not raining.
Yep. Buddha, help us.
Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. There will be 2 more episodes from this hike coming out just as soon as we can possibly edit them. This has been the most footage and the most we've had to edit for any episodes ever, so it's taking kind of a while. If you're watching in the future, obviously you can just click and watch the next part. But huge thank you to our patrons. They make all of this possible. If you would also like to be a patron, you can go to patreon.com/adventure. Patrons get all sorts of bonuses like early access to the videos, bloopers, and commentaries. And at certain tiers, you can get your name in the credits, free copies of the soundtrack, or even one of the special shoutouts, which you'll see in a minute. If you like the music from this episode, you can listen to and buy the music at adventurearchives.bandcamp.com. We also have t-shirts and merchandise for sale at our Teespring store, including this movie poster and also this Yo Bear shirt. If you want to check out any of the gear that we use in the videos, we have affiliate links for all of the different gear that we use listed below. Also, huge thank you to Joe and Straight Back Games for sponsoring this episode. They have an upcoming co-op adventure game called Hobble. We played it. It is a ton of fun. You can see the video of that in just a second, but if that at all interests you, wishlist that on Steam. But thanks again for watching. Thanks again for being a patron. We will see you in the next part just as soon as we can possibly edit it. Thanks again. See you then.
Here, I'll get the shot of the 3 of you through my binoculars.
Thomas, I want you to be far enough so that I have to look through my binoculars.
Okay,
Okay,
no,
no,
pull out my
wait. Why am I doing the binoculars? Let me get the camera shot set up. There we go. Wait.
Thomas's character he looks like him when he's like 75 or something.
Oh wait, no, I got the perfect shot. This looks like an Adventure Archives. You ready? And action.
Yeah. So this is the upcoming game Hobble by Straight Back Games. And the lead developer, Joe, reached out to us earlier and he said that the next time you guys go to Japan, I want to sponsor your trip. And so he sponsored the trip to Japan. Thank you, Joe and Straight Back Games. He gave us access to this very pre-alpha version of his game. And right now we're going to see what shenanigans we can get up to. We'll do our Adventure Archives thing only virtually.
Whoa, we have a metal detector?
Look at Thomas just filming everything with his Canon T3i.
Look at the view and everything.
Thomas looks hilarious leaning over like that when he looks
Alright, everybody get in front of the fireplace.
Yeah, everybody crouch.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna go hide behind the bus and talk to you guys on the radio.
Testing, test, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Testing, test, 1, 2.
Can you see the flash?
Andrew looks like he's sneaking up on me like Solid Snake through the grass. Oh, we gotta do a selfie first. All right, everybody, let's pose here. Hold on. Okay, I got a little selfie going here. You guys ready?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, there's a selfie
stick.
stick.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Thomas looks like he's using a cell phone or something. What are you doing?
I got my
compass, right?
compass.
Oh, Andrew's compass is green. How'd you get a green compass?
Oh, you can change it in the mirror.
Here we go. Robbie, go set up a shot. Everyone else, go back over
set
here.
up the shot. Hold on.
Okay, go. He's like, okay, so there's a little obstacle course we can go up here.
I see you, Sierra. Yes, I know you want to play. Go get the ball. Get the ball.
Wow, nice job.
Andrew with the Destiny climbing skills.
Good at this hobbling thing.
All right, I'm going to show you guys one other thing.
What?
This is a very early version of the game.
There's currently a little debug mode where you can fly around.
So I want you all to hit O on your keyboard. Okay, we'll fly around.
So this would actually be very useful in real Adventure Archive situations to be able to fly.
I'm gonna get the drone shot, so you guys just count down, and then I'm gonna film you guys. Okay?
Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
I'm jumping. I missed. Andrew's like, hold on, I'll just give us our bearings at all times. All right, I'm gonna do something you can never do in Adventure Archives, so I'll see you guys later. Okay, well, the other guys are gone already. Thank you very much to Straight Back Games, and if this looked at all fun, please wish list the game on Steam. Apparently that really helps indie developers. We'll see you in the next one. Andrew's gotta go off to fight some crime, so... we'll see you later.
Yeah. Huh? Huh? You got a problem with me? Huh? You got a problem with me? You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Huh? 'Cause I don't see Sue and Tan in this room either. You talking to me? You talking to me? I certainly don't see Bryan and Asa Yamagata in this room. So are you talking to me? Well, you have a problem with me? There's something you want to say to me? Huh? I don't see Jake Buer in this room, do you? You talking to me? Talking to me, or are you talking to Bryan and Katja Strom? Because I don't see them in this room right now either. You talking to me? You talking to me?
You were gonna kill that guy!
Of course, I'm a Terminator.
You're not a Terminator anymore, alright? You can't just go around killing people.
Why?
What do you mean why? 'Cause you can't.
Why?
Because you just can't, okay? Trust me on this.
Why?
Look, we're gonna do some shoutouts for our patrons, and I order you to help me.
Who?
Our patrons. George Smith VA, Renan Yvette.
Who?
Nico, Joey and Mella. Our patrons. The Pathfinders and Greedos.
Who?
David and Jennifer Dickerson. Listen, we gotta do these shoutouts.
Negative. The T-1000's highest probability for success now will be to copy Douglas Jackson and wait for you to make contact with him.
Great. What happens to him?
Typically, the subject being copied is terminated.
What? We gotta go now.
Why?
Alright, welcome back everyone to Bird Watching with Bear Grylls. And we're gonna go see if we can find any awesome exotic birds. Let's go! Wait a minute. I think I see one right over there. I'm just gonna use these Expedition Research LLC binoculars and see what it is. Now, as you can tell, this is what we call the down-eye woodpecker. You can tell because it's got a little bit of a red cap on its head. Now, the scientific name for this bird is Madelineus holleus. Now, according to the Bear Grylls bird watching app, it says that the Madelineus holleus would like to give a shout out to Tommy and their son Klaus. the adventures have begun. That doesn't seem really related to birds, so I'm going to have to make sure that this gets fixed on our app. Let's keep going. Alright, we're back with some more bird watching with Bear Grylls. It looks like this one, according to the app, is called a white-breasted Nezu-Oji. I don't really know what that means, but apparently the scientific species is the Sanwa-wanius. What a beautiful bird. Let's keep looking. Alright, we're back with more bird watching with Bear Grylls. Now, we've got time to find one more bird, so let's see if we can find something. There's one. It has a black cap on its head. My application is saying that this is a black-capped Cicada. It's quite an adorable bird. Now, the species name for this black-capped Cicada is the Jonius truidius. Indeed, quite a majestic bird. Well, that's it for this episode of Bird Watching with Bear Grylls. I'm Bear Grylls, your host, and I hope you tune in next time where we can learn more about the birds.
Let me get you some help, Dan Vulcans. You're not well. Why do you want to have a baby with me, Mary Sienkiewicz? You can't stand me. That's not true. Why don't you let me fix you up some of this GreatLakesWatercraft.com brand Mococo drink? All natural cocoa from the upper slopes of Salvador Gonzales. No artificial sweeteners. What are you talking about? Who you talking to? I've had other cocoa brands. This one's the best.
The life of a video editor is tough. But the worst thing of all was that I'd been trapped by an odd set of circumstances to have dinner with a man I've been avoiding literally for years. His name was Sunjan Huang. My name is Gavin Ryan. I'm expected at a table with Sunjan Huang. Gavin! Wow, you look terrific! Well, I feel terrible. I was beginning to realize that the only way to make this evening bearable would be to ask Sunjan a few questions. By the way, is she still in town? Anthony. Elaine R. Anthony. What? Oh, absolutely. So we talked for a while about my videos, and he talked about his friend Tim and his wife Nikki and his 2 children, Liam and Serenity, and of course Chewy. At first he seemed a little reluctant to go into more, so I just kept asking, and finally he started to answer. If you were a director working on a play by Christina Alvarez, for instance, you might say to them, all right, let's say that it's a rainy Sunday afternoon on James Urkitsky's estate, except that in this type of improvisation, the theme is oneself. So you follow the same law of improvisation, which is that you do whatever impulse as the character tells you to do. But in this case, you're the character. So there's no imaginary situation to hide behind. What you're doing, in fact, is you're asking those same questions that Jasper Capps said the actor should constantly ask himself as a character. Who am I? Why am I here? Where do I come from? And where am I going? Tell me more.
This holiday season, I want to give a special shout out to Bryan Kitsune. Thank you, Bryan. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Leon and Lu Lin. Thank you, Dr. Leon and Lu Lin. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to May and Gabe from Texas. Thank you, May and Gabe.
Post coffee. Are you getting revenge? All the times I do that to you?
Yeah, a little bit.